Taking old ideas and making them fresh and new again is a seemingly ongoing challenge in architecture, but sparks inspiration for designers and architects across the globe. Lately, a new crop of work displays a clever take on one of South Africa's most classic motifs, the farmhouse. Today, we're exploring a modern farmhouse designed by Gillian Holl of Veld Architects.
In today's episode of Finest Homes, we take a look at a modern farmhouse situated within an eco-farm estate near Lanseria, Johannesburg. We chat to architect Gillian Holl about what inspired the design for this truly South African home.
Hi, Tumelo.
Hello, Jill. How's it
Lovely
going?
to see you.
Lovely to
Fine,
see
and
you.
Can't wait to show you this new home. It's so beautiful.
When approached by the creatively talented young family to design a perfect South African home that speaks to the natural environment of the eco-farm estate, Jill immediately thought modern farmhouse. And for an architect, taking a new spin on something old sparks inspiration. The modern farmhouse uses common elements from traditional pastoral buildings, timber cladding, A-frame roofs, and lofted spaces, and puts a sleeker spin on them for a home that's streamlined, but still connected to its natural surroundings. The clean line silhouette might represent simplicity, yet the design is anything but simple. It shows a considered response to the setting, a modern eco-farm estate with stunning views of the Johannesburg and a layered approach to meeting the needs of a family of four and linking them to the natural environment.
Jill, this home design is so simple, yet it's still so chic.
Yes, it was informed by the clients who are graphic designers. That was the fundamental basis of the whole design.
So when you sat down with the homeowners, what was the discussion around the brief?
They were looking at creating a family home in a farm lifestyle. But them being graphic designers, they wanted something that's very minimalist. We interpreted it through the patterns and the use of materials on the home, and also by creating a courtyard house that has like the central courtyard where everyone can get together.
Well, you can definitely tell that this home is for the creative eye, particularly with the kind of patterns created by the materials you've used. Talk to us a little bit about that.
The patterns we used on the home were specifically chosen because of the design and texture of the elements. Like, for example, the brickwork is very rough, so it gives you that texture. We combined it with wood, and then we also created like these steel pergola laser cut sheets that have patterns. So when the sun goes over, it forms these patterns on the walls, which the clients are very happy about.
What are some of the other kind of key architectural elements that we see in this home?
Well, we didn't want to go to the vernacular farmhouse style. We rather wanted to go to a contemporary take on it. So we looked at new ways of designing with shading and new ways of looking at farm style. So we also paid homage to the barn, you know, the barns on the farms, through the cottage at the rear of the property, which has this zinc loom feel to it and is in direct contrast to the house. Moving away from the historic farmhouse and interpreting this in a more contemporary way, we cut back on the roof overhangs to create a more simplistic form. We wanted to reinterpret the verandas through the use of pergolas to create shading so that we don't lose the coolness in the summer of shading. So those are some of the elements that we incorporated to make it more a contemporary farmhouse.
And talk to me about the different materials you use to kind of honour and pay homage to the old school farmhouse, but still keep up with the times.
So on the main home, we used flush jointed face brick that gives it that texture, but also has a bit of a pays a bit of homage to the old farm-style buildings, and then we created the barn or the shed, the little shed at the back, which has zinc aluminum sheeting on it, clad, so that it stands in contrast with the main house.
Now, this home distinctly feels like it's in touch with its surroundings. Did you face any challenges to kind of achieve that feel?
The house is on the southern slope of the property, so that in itself creates challenges. How we resolved that was by creating a central courtyard so that most of the spaces get northern light. And also, it being on the slope, it helped with the ventilation of the home. So the context actually informed the design, because if we don't consider the context, it doesn't become a sustainable building.
Now, I'm tempted to say that the courtyard we see over there is almost a signature of yours, but it seems so well integrated into the home that it's almost a key feature in itself.
Yes, courtyards create spaces where people can get together. It's protection from the wind, and also in this particular home, it acts as a communal space gathering between the bedroom private wing and more the public wing on where entertainment happens. It also pays tribute to the design principle where we connect the house to the exterior-interior flow.
And I love how you've then created little pockets of transparency throughout and around the courtyard.
Yes, because people are informed by their surroundings. So you get these little vistas, little windows and panoramic views of the landscape, because this connects the homeowner to the context.
Well, I think they're so creative and create really a sense of intrigue right upon entry. I'm really looking forward to what's in store inside.
Come, let me go and show you inside how beautiful it looks.
Great.
Okay.
Don't go away. After the break, we explore the interior of this modern farmhouse home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're exploring a modern farmhouse situated within an eco-farm estate near Lanseria, Johannesburg. Before the break, we chatted to architect Gillian Holl of Veld Architects about what inspired the design for this truly South African home. And now, we get to explore the interior.
Right upon entry, I can almost feel the continuation of the farm style. Talk to us about the interiors a little bit, Jill.
We went with a contemporary interior feel on the inside as well. So we use these ceilings that have no trusses but follow the shape of the roof to have that streamlined, clean-lined feel to it. We also created big, large open window spaces on the northern and southern sides so that you still have that flow where the homeowners connect to the beautiful views on the exterior. And also, as you can see, the courtyard to my left creates the transitional space between this living area wing that we're in now currently and the bedroom wing that's more private.
I'm so glad you mentioned the flow, because if you look at this space, technically it could just be one room, but you've got that beautiful recession in the middle there that you created.
Yes, it's this open-aired courtyard that makes the owners walk through nature from one space to the next. So it was quite an intricate situation to explain, that you can actually incorporate like nature right into your home. And the clients have taken it so far as, having all these natural pot plants inside. So there's really been a marrying between the exterior and the interior in this specific home.
What would you say from an interior perspective, what plays the key role to achieve this look and feel?
Well, I think if it's informed by the architecture, the interior must translate that language. And when the two meet, there's this amazing synergy. So this being the main entertainment area, there's these doors that open up to the patio. And in South Africa, we really have such great weather. So it's ideal to have a braai and just lounge out around the pool. And there's just this natural flow towards entertaining from this specific area.
Now, I'd love to focus a bit on what's behind you, that beautiful kitchen cabinetry. Was that custom made?
Yes, it was a collaboration between the clients, us, and a local artisanal cabinetry maker. It was very important to us and the homeowner to support South African products and see the value of it. And it also transcends in most of the interior elements in the home, such as this beautiful table that we have here that was manufactured by David Crano, and also Holl contributed to the setting of this dining room area. And the lights were done by Milk and Honey from Neisner, the interior designers, as well as the curtains.
And I love to see the continuation of your wood selection from the kitchen right to the bedroom in the main suite.
Yes, it's important that elements like continue throughout the home, and there's this emphasis on natural elements and the use of them together in spaces.
Tell us why it works so well. I mean, of course you have the outside shower that integrates the inside to the outside, but why did that wood work so well against the charcoal?
I think the stark contrast of it, and also it wood being more of a natural material, it brings that natural palette more to something that is very minimalist and stark. It creates a warmth and an ambience in a space and makes it less clinical, if I can call it that.
Absolutely. More homely.
More homely, yes. Tumelo, I'd love to go and show you the rest of the interior.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
There's a strong, modern, contemporary South African aesthetic to the interior design choices of the home, with furniture pieces that are locally designed and manufactured, as well as a New York loft-style layout. There's a worldly feel to the home that converses perfectly with the natural setting.
Sure, I have to say, there's a brilliant synergy between the architectural exterior and the interior design. Tell us how this works.
Well, the homeowner made very apt choices in selecting certain interior elements, which has been sourced locally, like this couch that has some steel, leather and wood elements to it, and the wooden table behind you. All these elements tie together to create the contemporary feel, even in the fabrics that are locally sourced, and also some of the art on the wall. It all binds together in a modern way to create warmth in the space.
Something that was quite unexpected is the black paint that you've used. That's not overpowering at all, surprisingly.
Yes, I think because the rest of the home is quite light and there are elements of charcoal, we wanted to create a more warm space in the lounge area, cozy space. So the color just enhanced that feel. And the wall that you see behind you, the clients travel quite often and they've been to New York and they were in a New York apartment and they wanted that feel. And the juxtaposition between the dark color and this wall, that is a stock brick that we use different techniques on, that just creates a feature wall in the space and just is a very unique piece of architecture.
Yeah. Jill, this is a great example of a home that uses prolific foliage and makes it look so natural from the inside out.
Yes, the homeowner took that direct correlation between the context, these beautiful views that we have, into the house, and it shows throughout the entire home. They've got a lot of plants in all the spaces, in the bedrooms and in this space and the living area, and it brings home that theme of bringing the outside inside. So plants in internal spaces create like a relaxed ambience in spaces and brings nature in.
Well, speaking of nature, I haven't had enough of that. From this view, it's way too enticing. Let's have a look.
It is so beautiful. Let's go.
Oh, this is amazing. Well,
Isn't
Jill,
it beautiful?
I love the warmth and the welcome that this farm style brings, and yet you still get to experience it in this fresh air.
Yes, what a beautiful way to spend life in Africa.
Absolutely.
Jill believes that people find a sense of belonging when they connect to the landscape. This couldn't be more true after spending time in this abode with picturesque views of nature rolling into the distance. The idea was for the home to look appropriate in the landscape, but at the same time, not to vanish into the abyss. Don't go away. After the break, we show you how to achieve this look at home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we explored a modern farmhouse situated within an eco-farm estate near Lanseria, Johannesburg. Before the break, we chatted to architect Gillian Holl of Veld Architects about what inspired the design for this truly South African home. Up next, we'll give you a few tips and tricks on how to get this look at home.
Modern, light and airy with a calming effect, this home pays homage to farm-like lifestyle combined with elegant, comfortable living. Ntabi, this is Mzansi for sure.
Indeed it is, Dumelo. It's just so laid back, tranquil, easy and an accessible home for everyday living.
And I mean, farm-style living isn't something that's foreign to a lot of us, and yet it looks so modern and elegant and feels comfortable. And that's achieved with very simple and beautiful furniture.
This interior just speaks volumes with such little said. You have a dining table with the bench and the chair, and that's it. The rest is nature, the rest is a soft, gorgeous rug, and obviously the mix of woods in the kitchen with the duco and the walnut is just magnificent.
I really felt like the plants used in the home played a decluttering role, where you could have furniture and ornaments and all sorts. There were beautiful plants that just brought the whole space to life.
And it also took you to the farms.
Yeah.
It took you out to nature, and the nature in this part became part of the decor, and that is where the magic lies in this interior.
So, if we're wanting to achieve this look, what textures and patterns are we working with?
Well, on this page, we only need wood, metal, and nature. That's it.
Right.
And of course, we have a little bit of texture brought through to the rug. Then as we move into the lounge area where the entire house comes alive, that's really special. Obviously, they've got exposed brick, and none of us always are walking around with exposed brick homes, but there's a very clever use of wallpaper that you could do that with and achieve that look. And that already centers the design and pulls your eye through to that area.
By the way, this was its own special feature because the walls were all black, which was quite impactful, and this really stuck out quite beautifully. So I think it worked really, really well.
And it also allows for the interior not to be so dark and heavy with the charcoal grey walls by bringing through that exposed brick. It's almost like you're showing off the real core of the house. Then we bring in through the camels, the leathers on the corner suite, and then the South African appeal with the protea flowers and those kind of quirky elements that you bring through with your cushion and fabric that you use there. And then there's this beautiful puffs of coir. And if you don't have coir, you can always bring in a coir mat just to give that textured look of what this interior has been able to achieve. And obviously the South African artwork is depicting township scenes, just scenes of the 70s, because this house has culture, has heritage, has relevance to what South African journey of design is all about.
Interestingly enough, we did mention that it did have a hint of New York with that kind of lofty feel with this beautiful exposed brick wall as well as the artwork. So it's a combination of styles.
It is, and it works so well because in this whole made in South Africa local element, there's also a retro pull on the style of design which takes you overseas, and then obviously the New York artwork just brings the whole design back home.
And interestingly enough, most of the decor that you found in this home was locally found and sourced, which I thought was brilliant because it's lovely to note that just over the fence you have this beautiful kind of supply of interior decor.
And it's got a beautiful global appeal that even though it's locally made, it just works with this interior because it takes you to New York, it takes you back to South Africa. It really merges the best of all worlds.
Absolutely. So take me through what it would take to get this look in 3 steps.
In 3 steps, I would say definitely start with the exposed brick, the charcoal grey walls, and then your killer piece of corner suite sofa.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the plants because those were so prolific in the home, and they played a gorgeous role in kind of enlivening the house. And as I said, kind of decluttered the space. Instead of placing, cabinetry and tables, you just have plants.
Because the plants in this home became part of nature, became part of the decor, became part of the element of sculpture that was brought into this interior.
And merged so well with the external environment.
Correct.
This home is a fine example of modern South African living, and what better way to express that than with a modern take on a South African farmhouse. This home design, married with its scenic views, just creates perfection. This truly is a finest home.